frankly, I am a little bit surprised. Is he tarnishing his coaching legacy? They're like the homecoming team. That's not what they paid for at UNC. He was going to do for UNC football what Deion Sanders did for Colorado. Not only win, but bring it into the national spotlight. It's not for Bill Belichick. The best coach, arguably, in NFL history. They are saying to move on from. Now just think about that. Bill Belichick, my ass. And this is kind of sad, is it not? Because Bill Belichick, when he signed on with Bubba Cunningham and the folks over there at UNC, was the savior, the Gazda. He was going to do for UNC football what Deion Sanders did for Colorado. Not only win, but bring it into the national spotlight. Must-see TV. Belichick, sidelines, UNC. Now, problem you had was Deion Sanders understood something maybe Belichick didn't. You got to have troops. You got to have guys. Now, I assume Belichick understood that, but he didn't have Shador. He didn't have Travis Hunter. He didn't have Shiloh and others coming with him. You know, it's kind of a model if you're I was going to say general manager, which at Stanford, Andrew Luck runs the team, but it's kind of a model if you're an AD. Get a guy that's going to bring guys. If you just put 70 people together on a team like Belichick has, I don't give a damn if you're Bill Belichick. You're not going to win. It is pathetic. Is he tarnishing his coaching legacy? Interesting. Did Urban Meyer? I don't think so. I really don't. Did Michael Jordan tarnish his legacy by going to the Washington Wizards? I don't think so. I think his legacy is, boom. I think he's kind of tarnished in this world where it's Twitter, it's social media, it's we want to see him fall. But it ain't good. In fact, I would say it's unmitigated disaster. And by the way, this show, did I say it? I can't remember, is brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks, where, ladies and gentlemen, I gave it to you. I gave you two good ones. What's his name? The running back, Genty, over 62, and Carson Wentz with a game-winning touchdown pass. That's right. Damn near made a guarantee, huh? Anyway, Belichick arrived at UNC with significant fanfare after the school hired him away from the NFL. I don't know if they hired him away from the NFL. That's a tough stretch to me. Following 6 Super Bowl championships with the Patriots, UNC is paying him at least $10 million guaranteed over 3 years, making him the highest paid public employee in the state. Saturday, they got that ass beat again. It's a third straight blowout. Third straight against Power 4 opponents. They opened with a 48-14 loss TCU, followed by a 34-9 loss to UCF. They're like the homecoming team against Clemson. Fans were headed to the exit. As well, guess what? The Tigers of Clemson were leading 35-3. Clemson scored touchdowns in each of his first 4 drives. Whap, 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 whap. Something that had never happened to a Belichick team at any level. Here's a little video of the crowd walking out as the second half started. I don't know how you turn this one around. Well, I do. Look, the crowd, they're leaving. Those blue seats, those aren't people cheering. You know, one of the things about college football, look at that. That's the start of the second half. One of the things about college football and college basketball, we see the big games, and we're going to talk to Sean McDonough about big games. And we see the crowd, and we see the energy, and we see how everyone stays, right? Yeah, well, there's a lot more of that going on than you would think. And that is bad. That's not what they paid for at UNC. And frankly, I am a little bit surprised. I am. I would have thought that Belichick would have pieced together a team that was more competitive. But here's the deal, and there are always signs. I look for these signs, and I thought to myself, things that make you go, There was a lot of talk that Belichick took a long time to put his staff together. There was a lot of talk that Belichick wasn't working really very hard in recruiting. There was a lot of talk that he and staff were kind of settling. They were going to be the program that took that guy that was okay somewhere else, and they were going to make him better. That's bad business. It was reminiscent. I don't know if you remember this, but Charlie Weiss standing on the podium at Notre Dame in front of Touchdown Jesus at Notre Dame Stadium. He's standing there. He's big. He's bold. And he talks about his schematic advantage after coming from the great Belichick. And plop. The one schematic advantage Charlie Weiss has is, and you can look this up, that man knew how to make himself some money. Money, 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 money. Charlie. Yeah, he did. Anyway, so the crowd in the second half said, Aaron Taylor, who I think is a really smart guy on TV, I believe this is the former Niner. He played at Notre Dame. I actually remember Aaron Taylor. He doesn't really say controversial things, and I don't know that this is that controversial, but after they gave up 28 points in the first quarter of a 38-10 loss, hey, they played them even after the first quarter. That's something. CBS Sports' Aaron Taylor called Belichick's hiring a mistake on college football today. It was the first time in Belichick's career that one of his teams had allowed that many points in the first half. Woo, baby. Here's Aaron Taylor on Belichick.
But this was the first time ever that a Bill Belichick coach team allowed 28 points in a quarter. First quarter, 28 points.
Ludicrous performed for the students around 10 o'clock this morning. That's a perfect word to describe whatever the heck is going on in Chapel Hill. It is ludicrous that that's the product. Bill Belichick is not the right guy for this job. We've seen a bunch of NFL coaches come down and think that they're going to create the 33rd NFL team. Do we all remember that? This product on both sides of the football is a reflection of what's going on in that office, and it's just not good. They got to figure something out, but Bill Belichick was a mistake. It's not the answer, and they need to move on.
Yeah, man. That's as strong as it gets. You know what I mean? That's as strong as it gets right there. I mean, when you're saying, think about what he just said there on national TV. All right, everything else. In the first year, first 6-5, whatever games, the best coach arguably in NFL history, they are saying to move on from. Now, just think about that. It's one thing if you hire a guy and, he's kind of a bumbling idiot or whatever. But there is no grace here, and I wonder why. I don't know. Is there something deeper to people's disdain for Belichick? I argue there is, and it's he always had everybody at bay. Oh, next game, whatever. Okay, all right. Now he's exposed. And when you're exposed, here they come. Here they come. Because most guys would understand, if you really think about it, that North Carolina, Mac Brown did a nice job there. And that's all you can say, a nice job. But this is a basketball school trying to all of a sudden go, wait a second. We want to get in these waters because there's more money. Let's go. You would think that he would get, 3/4 of a season, one season, because history is full of guys. I'll use Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson came from college, went to the NFL, went 0 for his first year or 1 for whatever it was, 1-13 or 1-15, then won 2 Super Bowls. The Woods is full of guys that struggled their first year. Mike Krzyzewski famously was going to get fired year 3. Turned it around. But Belichick, man, we give no grace. None. Even the students, ESPN broadcast, shared this UNC student interview going into a commercial break when UNC was down 28-3. Here it is.
TCU I went to that game, and that was one of the saddest feelings I've had in university so far. And I've failed midterms before, so that's saying something.
There you go. There you go. All right. Okay. There you go. Now, let's go to real. If Carolina were to depart, boy, you guys are good back there, Davey and Nick. If North Carolina were to part with Belichick before 2027, the buyout would exceed $20 million. What Edge Orgeron do? Hey, man, you're going to give me a $20 million check to leave? Cut the check. Tell me which door to walk out of. Man. Placing it among the top 5 highest, largest buyouts in college football history. Despite that price tag, Taylor obviously argued that the university should absorb the cost and move forward without him. I really, if you look this up, you're going to see a ton of coaches that struggled in their first year, including me. By year 3, we won the MAC for the first time 20 years, Bowling Green. I mean, it's just – but Belichick, man. No. I'm not saying anybody's wrong. I'm not saying Aaron Taylor's wrong. I'm not saying he's wrong at all. You kidding me? Hell no. Probably right. But I don't think they do it. I don't think Belichick, if he has pride, allows them to do it. But it would be fascinating, because this is the way the world works. It would be fascinating to know the conversations between Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director, the chancellor, the vice chancellor, all they got at North Carolina, and Belichick. That would be fascinating. But part of me says, hey, Aaron Taylor, you're right. Part of me says, give him a couple years. Uh-huh. Hey, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Woo, did I get it done for you? You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right's going to get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Prize Picks also offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half, does not return, Prize Picks will not count it as a loss. Prize Picks won't do that because, well, Prize Picks is the best play to win cash while watching sports. Join millions of users and sign up today. Why not? Download the Prize Picks app. Use code DAKICH, that's Dakich, to get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's code DAKICH to get 50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. It's good to be right. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. I gave you Genti over 62.5. He got 67. And I gave you Wentz to throw a touchdown pass, and he did, to win the game for the Vikings against Cleveland. Boom! We won that money, yo. Oh, man. James Franklin, the seat was hot, but it wasn't hot for losing to anything other than, top 5, top 10 teams. Now, what's that on my ass? A little bit of heat. Anyway, UCLA shocked the college football world this weekend by upsetting Penn State 42-37. Penn State could not guard a chair. This comes on the heels of UCLA firing their head coach, defensive coordinator, and their offensive coordinator. Furthermore, listen to this. This is unbelievable. Prior to this game, UCLA hadn't led in the game for a single second and came into the game. Some said 24.5 underdogs. Some said 25-point underdogs. Either way, I turned it on. I got home in the afternoon. I turned it on before I had to go to the golf course. And I'm watching thinking, all right, I'm going to live bet Penn State. They were down 14. I watched about, I don't know, 5, 10, 20 plays. I don't know, whatever it was. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. No sirree. Should have continued to bet on UCLA. Rick Neuheisel's son, Jerry Neuheisel, said they had 2 days to prepare their new game plan for Penn State. Here's Neuheisel's kid, who did a hell of a job, offensive coordinator Jerry Neuheisel.
Coach Neuheisel, you've been in some great moments as a lifelong Bruin. Where does this one rank?
It's up there. The first thing I want to say is I love UCLA more than anything. And the kind of kids that you see that played on that field today is exactly why you love a place like this. We had 2 days to practice the new game plan, and all they did was believe. And we came out and played as hard as we could for 60 full minutes. Had to take a safety at the end because we messed it up a little bit. But, how can you not love college football when you have days like this? Special, special, special.
There you go, man. He ain't wrong either. Yeah, you don't like it so much if you're James Franklin. Not so special, not so special, not so special. He also said he didn't know how to work the headset. Didn't know how to do it to call plays to Tennessee's favorite son, Nico.
But all things you learn from. Like, I hate to say this, but I had never practiced with the headset in terms of like the button to talk to the quarterback. So there's like multiple times during the game I'm calling the play, but the headset's flipped up because I'm used to being a position coach. And then all of a sudden I'm pressing the wrong part of the button trying to talk to him. Like, it was a mess. Hopefully we'll get that cleaned up by next week. But just one of those days. It just all kind of fell into place.
That's pretty damn good, man. Here's a screenshot of 11 years ago. Rick Neuheisel being hosted on the shoulders by, hosted on shoulders first as a UCLA quarterback and now as a coach. There he is. Yeah. 11 years apart. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. Nah, that's tremendous. Good for him, man. Here's a little bit. As a young coach, gets the OC job midweek, calls plays for his alma mater for the first time against a top 10 team, pulls off the upset. As a 3-touchdown, think about that, 3-touchdown underdog, gets carried off the field, all with his dad doing studio coverage for the game on national TV and tearing up afterwards. That's as good as it gets. It is. What a day. What a day for the Neuheisel family. Well, let's continue to talk about the fallout for that game. I don't know. Penn State is the first top 10 team to lose to an 0-4 team or worse opponent in 40 years. 40 years. Think about that. You do something for the first time on the negative in 40 years, that ain't so good. You do something for the first time on the positive in 40 years, that is pretty good. Here is James Franklin on the loss post-game.
Yeah, obviously we did not handle last week's loss well. We also lost some players in that game during the week. And then everything else, travel, everything else. Did not come out with the right energy to start the game. And before you know it, obviously they get a touchdown drive and an onside kick, and now you're fighting. They gain confidence, and we're fighting for the next 3 quarters. So that's my responsibility, and I didn't get it done.
You know, one of the things that I am tired of is the Big Ten coaches bitching about travel. They always throw that in there. Now, I like James Franklin. I like James Franklin ever since he said, I like coaches with hot wives, because those hot wives, that shows that a guy can recruit. I liked him ever since. I thought it was a great line. Who cares whatever. Everybody gets so worked up. But anyway, the truth of the matter is James Franklin talking about travel, and all these guys do it. Look. I get it. Travel ain't easy. Get there a day early. Take a private plane. Whatever you got to do. I don't know. No, is anybody going to class in class? I mean, of your best players, how many can do their tests? How many can do everything on a computer, even if they're doing them? And the reason I say that is I don't hear coaches talking about academics anymore. I hear them talking about all the ancillary things, travel, blah, 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 blah. That's crazy. Anyways, you enjoying the show? Of course you are. Make sure you head on over to youtube.com/@don'tatme with Dan Dakich. So like, comment, hate, love, subscribe. You'll never miss any of the action if you do. Nah, hell no. You won't miss none of the action. None ya business. Hey, you hear that rumble? That's the sound of a thunderstorm brooding over the WNBA. And the latest bits of drama centers around Napheesa, Collier canceling a meeting with WNBA commish Cathy Engelbert. Now, wait a second. I heard Timmy, whatever her name is, saying that Cathy Engelbert will handle tough issues but not tough conversations. Hold on now. Seems like Cathy Engelbert had a tough conversation with Ms. Collier, and Ms. Collier went and told the world about it. Now Ms. Collier doesn't want to have another tough conversation after she absolutely, well, in the minds of some, obliterated the commissioner. Odd. Very, very odd. Huh. Everybody's telling me, I want you to listen to this first sentence. All right? This is where I just didn't know this. The relationship between the WNBA commissioner, Cathy Engelbert, and one of the league's biggest stars, that lady Collier, is one of the biggest stars. All right, good for her, man. I mean, if she's one of the biggest stars, I got to tell you, I didn't see that. Maybe she is now. It's hit rock bottom, that relationship. Days after eviscerating Engelbert and WNBA leadership in a fiery exit interview, links forward, and WNBA Vice President Napheesa Collier has reportedly canceled a planned meeting with the commish. You know, it's easy to get in front of a microphone or on Twitter and criticize somebody, right? Ew, is that easy? Oh, then after you criticize them, you got to go see them face to face. People don't like that. Ms. Collier, she ain't digging that action. Hey, when you're older, myself, anybody, you get called a lot of things for a lot of years. And you become like, all right, cool. Yeah, I'm this, I'm that. But you know who you are. Ms. Collier probably ain't used to that smoke and then given that smoke and then saying, hey, let's have a meeting about what you just said. And now she's backing out. Nobody will say that but me, but that's what hang on. That's exactly what people do. Don't argue with me. No. That's what those that decide I'm going to bitch, whine, and moan behind a mic or in front of a mic, behind a keyboard. Then you get actually called. Those that do that generally shy away from the face-to-face post, quote, eviscerating somebody. Collier had agreed to meet with Engelbert this week to address the backlash from her viral press conference where she accused league leadership of negligence, dismissiveness, and failing to protect players. But according to ESPN, Engelbert's response on Friday denying several of Collier's claims and calling her comments inaccurate was the final straw. That interview pretty much pushed the relationship beyond repair. One source said, so Engelbert was just supposed to say, yeah, well, you know, Ms. Collier, she remembered everything perfectly accurately from a year ago in our conversation. Hell no. I'm telling you, chicken shit comes to mind. It does. I know. Call me whatever you like. Keep on going. But I got to tell you, when you confront somebody, like if you ever hear from reporters, one of the things reporters always talk about is, yes, I criticized him, but I showed up the next day in the locker room. And reporters think that, you know, that makes them brave, and maybe it does. But Ms. Collier, not so brave. She goes at the commish. The commish says, hold on here a second. She didn't call her name. She just said, this is inaccurate. She was actually very passive in her response, which pissed a lot of people off and called Engelbert weak. But Engelbert is smart. She wants to meet privately. She's not going to win the court of public opinion. Boy, don't I know that. I get how that works. You're never going to win the court of opinion. But the truth is, you sit down, you talk privately, and you're able to look in the mirror. Not Miss Collier, man. Not Miss Collier. Here is Engelbert's presser when asked about Collier's comments.
Hi, Cathy. Malika Andrews, ESPN. I just wanted to get some clarity on some of the specifics that Napheesa Collier said about your conversation that you had that was previously private. Did you, in fact, say that, quote, players should be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the rights deal that I got them?
There's a lot of inaccuracy out there through social media and all this reporting. And so I think what's most helpful is to focus on, I have been in touch with Napheesa. We've exchanged texts. We're talking next week. So I think, obviously, a lot of reporting, a lot of inaccuracy about what I said or what I didn't say. And I will tell you, I highly respect the players. There's a lot of emotion and passion going on right now because we're in collective bargaining. We're in the WNBA finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. You know, I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments, and so all I'll say is just, you know, it's obviously been a tough week, and I just think there's a lot of inaccuracy out there.
Man, if that offends you, Ms. Collier, get off your high horse. I mean, hey, if that upsets you, I don't know what to tell you, honey. I honestly don't. I have no idea what to tell you if that's going to bother you. Honest to God, if that bothers you, good riddance. Can't do that. Yeah, file this under. You cannot do that. New York PD officer is currently on administrative leave after sneaking. Listen to this. This is a little bit dangerous, right? He snuck into the Ryder Cup as a member of Trump's security detail. Now, back in the day, I used to tell my brother, wear a tie and I'll sneak you into the game. Let me wear a tie, get in the game. But listen to this story. This is cray-cray, as the kids say. Tickets for the 2025 Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black were not cheap, especially for Friday's opening session of the event. Price for a single ticket on the secondary market was around $1,000. One NYPD officer allegedly devised a scheme to gain entry to the gates for free, which would have potentially gone undetected if not for an incredibly embarrassing mistake. Listen to this. According to the New York Post, NYPD detective Melvin Eng allegedly showed up to Bethpage on Friday, decked out in full tactical gear, and claimed he was working on the security detail for El Presidente Donald Trump, who was scheduled to make an appearance at the event that afternoon. Detective Eng was reportedly out on sick leave and appeared to have all his bases covered until he made a brutal error. According to NYPD documents obtained by the Post, Detective Eng dropped his gun magazine on the grass right in front of real security personnel, and with that blunder, he was caught. He got in a tournament with no issue, but dropping a magazine resulted in a swift booting and suspension from the department. Of course, the bigger story here is how in the hell is a guy able, in full tactical gear, meaning he's ready to shoot something, or at least is capable of shooting something. I don't know if he's ready to shoot something, but he's capable of shooting something. How does a guy get in, and how safe is the president? I mean, how does this keep happening? The guy loads up, shoots him in the air from a building that should have been secured. Another guy's hiding in the weeds when he's playing golf, getting ready to shoot him there. And now another guy walks right in tactical gear. I get it. You know, I'm at the door. I don't know who the hell I let in, who the hell I don't. I had one guy tell me something very simple one time. If you have the right ticket, pass, I'll let you in. If you don't, I won't. That's pretty good. So you can come in tactical gear, at least in this guy's world, and not get in if you don't have the right pass. Go guard the outside, but damn, how safe is he? You know what I mean? Oh. That's scary. All right. The late former LSU wide receiver, Kyren Lacy's lawyer, Matthew Ory, has released footage that reveals his client, Lacy, was more than 70 yards away from a car crash that took the life of a 78-year-old person named Herman Hall. The defense argues that initial reports mischaracterized his role and that evidence was mishandled and misrepresented. The attorney also asserts that Lacy was subjected to a media trial. Boy, no kidding, huh? That he was presumably guilty before the evidence was fully vetted and that the pressure and perception may have had a crushing psychological toll as Lacy eventually committed suicide. This is a really sad story. He committed suicide just days prior, before the grand jury hearing was scheduled to convene. Kyren Lacy, according to his attorney, this is attorney talking, is going to change the way things are done. He's going to make people think twice about what they say before they say it. Hold on, maybe we got to look at a few other things here. No, they're not. Oh, no, they're not. A simple Google search. Maybe let's not jump to conclusions. Maybe someone else is safe from the same exact thing. Maybe thousands. To this day, formal charges were never accepted. There was no criminal proceeding. He never got to tell the world his vision. He just did that. Whatever that's worth, I don't know. I hope that he's looking down and has a little peace because he did not go out with peace. Of course, Louisiana State Police are defending their findings that in the fatal accident and believe Lacy's reckless driving, including swerving, passing cars, reckless operation, caused a series of crash events. This story probably won't go anywhere for a while as the public is demanding answers as to who exactly caused the fatal accident as the video footage raises more questions. It's just a sad thing all around. It's just a sad thing, man. A young kid loses his life and who knows? True, not true, I don't know. It's just sad, man. No, that's all it is. Sad. All right. Ripped Bill Maher. What? Bill Maher failed presidential candidate Kamala Harris and her new book claiming that nothing ever is Kamala's fault. Bingo! It should have been called Everyone Sucks But Me. That may be my book. I think I'm going to write that book. Everyone Sucks But Me. She only had 107 days to win, and $1.5 billion and a built-in army of about 75 million people who'd vote for any human-adjacent life form that wasn't Donald Trump. Human-adjacent. I think I got called that this weekend. In 107 days, nothing is Harris's fault. Biden lets her down by not stepping down sooner. Pouty face emoji. America itself lets Kamala down by not being ready for the running mate she really wanted, Pete Buttigieg. So she's stuck with Home Depot paint salesman, and the rest is her story. See it? That's like a play on history. Poor Kamala. We made her the star of a rom-com and didn't even give her a gay best friend. Hey, Davey, is Kamala Harris's book, is it something that you might read? You're like the most educated guy in these parts, not named Brooke. Is it something you might read like watching a car wreck? Or is it something you're like, yeah, I'm not doing that?
Dan, it is not something I would read for fun. In fact, it is our fantasy football league's punishment for last place. So we're also expecting a full-on PowerPoint presentation afterwards, and thankfully, unless all hell just breaks loose, I am nowhere close to being in last place, so I get to sit this one out.
So, just so people understand, there's all these wacky punishments. Go eat 24 pancakes. My stepson, football team, he got slapped, by the first place winner. But the fantasy league you are in, the thought is this book is so asinine, so ridiculous. If you are so bad, we are absolutely making you read this and doing a presentation?
Yeah, so it's a dynasty league, so the presentation will take place at the rookie draft. And we call it our owners meeting as well. So, yeah, it'll be fun. But no, as it relates to the group of friends I'm playing with, they're not exactly people that would fall in line as far as Kamala supporters. So you already know they are not looking forward to this experience. Yeah.
No, I totally get that. I do. I get that. Let me ask you this. It's not a big book. I mean, is there any part of you that would like to see, assuming it's even remotely truthful, the inner workings of how Biden stepped down and how she moved in? Is there any part of you that would be like, I'd like to see that part?
I think it'd be fascinating. And years later, Dan, I think we eventually will get the full details as to how that transition took place, just everything going on behind the scenes. But it is not something I am going to seek out as far as Kamala being the one telling the story. I would much rather have somebody do the digging and then come back with the facts. I will then absorb them that way.
All right, last thing, and this is the most important question of the day. Do you, in fact, believe that Daniel Jones is the most valuable player of the NFL?
I've been thinking about this, Dan. He is in the running, but no, right now, surprisingly, I would go with Dak Prescott.
Tell me why.
The fact that team has been able to salvage this season. I thought they were going to be one of the worst in the NFL. Their defense is terrible. He's lighting it up. He's also down his best wide receiver at the moment. It's a situation where, listen, this is not a race that is by any means over. But right now, I'm amazed with Dak Prescott coming back from essentially tearing his quad off the bone and doing what he's doing.
A lot of people are all in on Baker Mayfield.
He looks great.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's another guy that's been able to resurrect his career. You talk about Sam Darnold was on the opposite side of that game yesterday as well. And seeing both those guys who were in the same draft class play like they have in their current systems, I mean, it just goes to show you some of these guys just need a little bit more development. And I know the Browns got to be kicking themselves for letting Baker get away.
Man, how about Carolina had Darnold and Baker Mayfield at the same time? That ain't good. That ain't good, big boy. Last thing. Can you name, I don't know that I can, and this is putting you on the spot. I asked this yesterday on Twitter. Maybe Appalachian State over Michigan. I'm not sure I can name a bigger upset. I don't think I can. Maybe. I don't think so.
I can, Dan.
Can you?
Yeah. 28.5 points. Georgia State upset Tennessee on the season opener back in 2019. It might have been 18. It was 2018 or 2019. I remember. It was a miserable experience. I think the university's still mad at me over that one for an article I published after the fact. Yeah, that was miserable. Did a 4-hour post-game show afterward, just the absolute meltdown that ensued because of that game. Not fond memories, Dan.
The post-game meltdown. No, but you remember it. I mean, a lot of things you go to you don't remember, but at least you remembered that one. So it is a memory as opposed to, you know. Hey, last thing. Shocked. We didn't really talk about. Shocked that the Bills got beat late last night?
No, I'm not actually, Dan, because Mike Vrabel's done a very good job whenever it comes to his teams playing Buffalo. He's had a very good game plan almost every time for Josh Allen. They were able to keep him in check. Stephon Diggs coming in with the revenge tour. Drake May's looking very competent. And listen, I don't think the Patriots make the playoffs this year, but that is a franchise that's on the up and up, and Mike Vrabel's going to have them back competing for that division as soon as next year.
Yeah, Drake May, man. Remember when Vrabel came on our show, he said one of the reasons he took the job, Drake May. All right, we're going to talk to the most versatile announcer out there. He had the Alabama-Vandy game. He is Sean McDonough next.
Football's
the entire world of college football knows that Indiana's the best team in the history of college football. It'll be proven this weekend. We're all wearing jackets and ties starting this afternoon because it's game week. It's Oregon week. The great Sean McDonough knows more than I. He was at Alabama. At first, Alabama's pretty good, huh? Reports of the demise greatly exaggerated, that kind of thing. And is Indiana the best team in the history of college football right now?
They very well could be. I hope for your sake and Hoosier Nation that they are. Alabama, to answer the first part of your question, I think is a really good team. I think they're caught off guard a little bit that first week against Florida State. Obviously, Florida State had a new coaching staff, a new system, although I think you kind of knew what you're going to get with Gus Malzahn offense. He's done the same thing very successfully for a long time. But, after they lost that game, they kind of had a come-to-Jesus meeting collectively, in smaller groups. And the word we kept hearing, Dan, when we visited with them on Friday at their facility, players and coaches, was edge. We're all on edge. The building's on edge. We're playing with an edge. We're kind of shutting out the outside noise. We really don't care what our fans and media think or say about us. We're going to play for each other. We're going to get – I think they realize, they need to make a deeper commitment than they made before that first game. So I think they're really good. They're a top 10 team in the country. I think they'll be in the playoff.
You shocked at what happened with Penn State?
Yeah, a little bit. The history there is right. Under James Franklin, they win all the games they're supposed to win, and they don't win very many that are kind of a toss-up or against really good competition. We've seen that just the week before against Oregon. But UCLA was so bad. I'm sure you've read, all of the information about what a historically bad loss that was. And so I was really surprised by that. And give credit to UCLA, the interim coaches. I was really happy for Jerry Neuheisel, who they made the play caller. You probably saw his dad's comments on one of the CBS platforms. He was Rick's one of the really good guys in our business and in coaching before that. So I was really happy for the Neuheisels.
Can I need your perspective on this. When I was coaching, my first year we were bad, and one of my assistants gave me a thing that showed all these coaches that were bad, like Tom Landry. Obviously, we talk about Mike Krzyzewski, Jimmy Johnson. We can go through all that. Why is Belichick crucified halfway through his first year and not given any grace whatsoever. Like, hey, you're rebuilding a program. Hey, you brought in 60 guys. Why the vitriol towards him?
I think that's a really good question. I don't know. I mean, ordinarily, I think part of it is they weren't way down. I think I read the other day they had won 23 games in the previous 3 years. That's just under 8 a year under Mac Brown. So it wasn't like they were the dregs of college football. So that might be part of it. And then there was some stuff about we're going to be the 33rd NFL team and all that kind of stuff. And I think maybe because he's just not warm and fuzzy. I think he's enjoyed living there from what he has said. I think he's tried to get involved in the community and on campus as much as he can. But he's certainly not going to be out there, slapping the boosters on the back and glad handing and that kind of thing. And I just think, the expectations were probably unreasonably high. I mean, you saw the first game against TCU was a packed house. They went right down the field and scored on the opening drive. Everybody said, oh, my God, look at this. This is a well-coached football team. They're going to be great. And then I don't know what they lost by, but I don't know if they had another first down the whole game. I don't know the answer to your question, but, they need to get better players, clearly. And, the expectations are probably a little high.
Sean, you are Boston. Your dad was Boston. You guys set the narratives in Boston. Does this affect his legacy at all as a coach? Assuming it goes bad.
I think so a little bit. I mean, college is a lot different than pro, so that's one thing. I already think his legacy here was in question and probably around football just because, the narrative has become, before Tom Brady, he had a losing record when he was in Cleveland. And the people who were with him in Cleveland say, well, I heard Nick Saban the other day on game day talk about the great job that he did building the Cleveland Browns up. And then obviously they moved, and the people who are defending the record there will say, well, the moving of the franchise threw the whole thing into a spiral, which is possible. But, the narrative around here is the record with Tom Brady and the record without Tom Brady. And it is pretty stark. It's just now Tom Brady, to me, is the greatest football player of all time. He went to Tampa and won a Super Bowl, which I don't think helped Bill's legacy, right? People say, well, look at Tom Brady. We're trying to determine who was the most important person in the Patriots' success. Was it Brady or Belichick? Brady went to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl with Bruce Arians, who I love as the coach. Great guy. And, Belichick has really not done much since. So I think his legacy was already in question here before the whole North Carolina thing. That being said, he's clearly an excellent football coach, right? Don't, and I'm sure he had a lot to do with Tom Brady's success and the Patriots' success. But, if you're asking most people around here who had the most to do with it, I think the answer would be Tom Brady, and probably more people come around to that opinion with each passing week.
Are you petty like me? If I were Belichick, I would have rooted so hard against Brady to make the Super Bowl, to win a game, to get to the Super Bowl, to win I would have been so damn like, I don't know what I would have done, but it wouldn't have been smart.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. A couple of weeks ago, didn't Belichick say nobody involved with the Patriots organization is allowed in our building and on our campus and in the state of North Carolina? It wasn't quite that bad, but and he said, hey, I'm not welcome in Foxborough, and so they're not welcome here. I think it was Mike Vrabel who was asked about it at his press conference that week. He said, well, he was just here, so. For something, I don't know, was it Tom? I don't remember what he was back at Foxborough for, but for something. So, I don't know. It would be human nature, wouldn't it, to want to be able to say, look, I'm clearly the reason why, or the biggest reason why we had all this success.
I just don't want to live with it. I just don't want to live going, I would want to live, but I don't want to live with him being, this is recency bias, but Vrabel's got to be a hero, certainly today. But what was the feeling of Vrabel in Boston leading up to this yesterday?
Yeah, I think people really liked it. I think people were happy for Gerard Mayo when he got the opportunity. He was a well-liked guy here and was considered kind of a rising star in coaching, but it certainly didn't go very well, and it didn't look like they were a very well-coached team. So, when Vrabel came back, he had a track record of success, and he's a much-loved former Patriot. He was a very important player on some of those very successful teams. And And he brought back, some really good coaches like Josh McDaniels. And so, I think people thought it was a good hire. And I think that I haven't been around town so far today, but I would imagine, or listen to sports radio, but I would imagine that narrative is even stronger now. They went up to Buffalo and won the game. Now, I think the most important thing for the Patriots going forward, in addition to Vrabel and his coaching staff, is going to be Drake May. He's obviously a really talented guy, but the performances have been kind of inconsistent. And I think, if they're going to get back to being a playoff contending team, there are a lot of things that have to happen, but he really needs to be consistently a productive quarterback.
Hey, Sean, you go around. I'm curious because I don't. I go to Indiana or Illinois State to watch my son's team. And other than that, I really don't go around college campuses or college games. But you've been doing this a long time. When you go to a college like Alabama or wherever, can you feel or see or both the influx of money that players have received?
Yeah, sometimes if you walk through the parking lot, right, and it's very nice cars where the players park. That was the case at some campuses over the years in a few sports, a few of the higher profile sports, as you know, before NIL. I mean, there were schools that had NIL before there was NIL, as we all know. So, but yeah, it's just interesting, right? And that's to your question about Belichick. I think it's really true of any college coach. If you have enough money, you have the most money to go out and get the best players, then you have a higher chance of succeeding regardless of how good an X and O coach you are. As you know, the most important thing is having the best players. So ultimately, I think that's the case now throughout college athletics. And I don't know, like I look at SMU last year. I'm not as familiar with the finances and the NIL at Indiana, but I assume that they, have some people who have stepped forward to help them accumulate good talent on the football field, and good for them. SMU last year kind of came out of nowhere. Well, they had boosters who stepped forward to help them get in the ACC. I don't remember the exact details, but I think SMU was told it's going to be many years before you get a single nickel in the media rights payments from the ACC. And they had a booster who basically said, well, how much would that be? How much would we get if we were in? They told him, he wrote the check. Okay, let's go. Let's go to the ACC. I remember asking Rhett Lashley, their coach at the ACC championship game last year, this must be pretty good. I mean, you got a lot of money to work with, and you got all these new players who are, he said, yeah, but the only problem with that when you're the coach is now they expect you to win, right? And you better win because you have really good players. So there's that. But yeah, it's the most important thing now in college athletics, that's for sure.
Indiana has two guys, Cuban's one, and his partner. People don't know. I don't know if they know the name Todd Wagner or not. It's either Todd or Mark. He's from my hometown. His mother and my mother were great friends, and he made more than Cuban on their broadcast.com deal, and he never really did much, and now he's doing a lot, and Indiana has a lot of money. It's literally.
Yeah, and that's what it takes. And they have a good team, and they have a good coach, really good coach. Love the quarterback. Really I talked to Todd Blackledge. He did the Indiana-Illinois game. And, he was talking about how impressed he was by the quarterback. So, as you know, Dan, I mean, you have a quarterback. We just talked about that with Tom Brady. It's the most important position. If you have a really good quarterback, one of the best quarterbacks, you have a chance. So good for Indiana. It's a great story. That's going to be a big game this weekend. I do hope that people will watch Georgia at Auburn on ABC in prime time. Am I allowed a quick little promo? That's our game, 7:30.
Please, God, yes, please.
Saturday night, Georgia at Auburn, the loveliest village on the plains. And tomorrow night, the NHL starts on ESPN. That's with a triple header. And our group will be in New York City for the Penguins and the New York Rangers, which will be an interesting night because Mike Sullivan, who was the coach of the Penguins for a decade and won a couple Stanley Cups and is still close to guys like Sidney Crosby, is the new coach of the Rangers. So to be making his debut against the Penguins, I'm sure it'll be an emotional night for Sully. So excited about the start of hockey.
Unlike Ben McDonald, I will be watching.
What's that?
Said unlike Ben McDonald,
yeah,
I will be tuning in.
I don't think that was his finest moment. I have a feeling if you gave him a mulligan on that, he'd do it over again. I know he said in the aftermath it was intended to be funny, but if it was intended to be funny, it was still a whiff. So
it wasn't.
You and I know better than anybody. We all make mistakes and say things that perhaps we shouldn't have, and hopefully we move on.
All right, where are the Yankees? Where are we at in the baseball playoffs? Can my Cubs get it done today?
Yeah, I hope your Cubs can. I'm kind of a Cubs fan. The Jameson Tyone, who I've gotten to know a little bit here in the last year, his in-laws bought my condo in Scottsdale. Dave and Cindy Petratus. They are wonderful people from Iowa, from Western Iowa. Their daughter is married to Jameson Tyone, who could not be a nicer guy. So I was so happy for him when he went out there and pitched those 4 great innings starting Game 3 against San Diego. And Jed Hoyer, of course, the GM or president, whatever his title is now, he was here with the Red Sox for many years, back when he and Theo kind of built this up. So always been a fan of Jed. He's a great guy. So cheering for the Cubs. Who are they playing? Okay.
Playing Milwaukee.
Okay. Well, when I go on a show in Milwaukee, I'll talk about how much I love Pat Murphy, who I do. Good, from Syracuse, New York. Originally, his brother's a friend. We dealt with Murph at the College World Series. So, back when I did the World Series 100 years ago, CBS said, we want you to go on all these talk shows. And every time they said, who do you like in the series? If it was like a Southern mark, I said, I think Atlanta's going to win, right? And then if you're on to the North, these Philadelphia Phillies, they're going to win this NLCS. There's no question. So back in the day, there wasn't the internet and all that. So people would say, wait a minute, he just said it 10 minutes ago in Atlanta, the Braves are going to win. So, no, go right. Cubs, go. Right. Fly the W. And I like the Brewers.
Lee and I were just...
Brewers a great guy. What a great story. I mean, the guy has waffles in his pocket, for crying out loud. And how about they win like they win with that payroll? I don't know exactly what it is, but from what I understand, it's
whoa. What does waffles in his pocket mean? What does that mean?
He has pancakes. You haven't followed this?
No.
Pat Murphy, apparently, it came out a month or 2 or 3 ago. He has, food in his pocket of his uniform in the dugout. And then sometimes it's a pancake or it's a waffle, and this has become a thing. And it's real, apparently. So, and I'm not surprised because he's a real character. He must be a heck of a manager. I mean, they had the best record in all of baseball, or at least the National League. So,
yeah. Man, by the way, I was at Drumlin's the other day, Lee, myself, and Jim Boeheim paid, of all things. He heard we were coming. He loved my wife. So we got there, and they're like, Coach took care of it. I go, what, has he had an aneurysm? What's wrong with him? What's going on? Right? He did.
Wow. It only took him 80-something years. Did cobwebs come flying out of his wallet when he pulled it out? Julie must have been there to encourage him to pay, because on his own, Coach
he was by. We got there, and he didn't play with us. It was kind of a weird deal. It was me, my wife, my stepson, and my wife's ex-husband. That was our foursome, which is a weird deal.
You have a lot of stuff going on. I mean, I think the last time I was with you, your 90-year-old mother was about to get married. Did that go well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we walked her down the aisle. In fact, she was at our house this weekend having pizza. And, yeah. Oh, yeah. That
still happily married?
Without a hitch. Yeah. They said it wouldn't last. It was about 3 months ago. But
God bless him. Coach Boeheim probably didn't play golf because he just had his knee replaced not too long ago. Have you ever actually played with him?
Yeah.
He asked me years ago to come up and MC his dinner. I think you've done it at Turning Stone, the casino there between Syracuse and Utica, God's country. And so he said, it's in April, right? He said, well, come early the day before, we'll play golf. Like in early April in upstate New York. But it was a nice enough day. It wasn't snowing that hard. And we went out and played. And I'd hit a drive down the middle, and he'd hit one over, in the woods somewhere. And he'd go over and he'd pick up his ball, and then he'd drive to my ball and he'd pick it up. I said, what are you doing? He said, we're not playing this hole. I had a crappy drive. We're going to the next hole. What? Could we finish? I'd like to play the course. So that night he got up at the dinner and talked about how we played. Sean and I played golf this morning. We went around in 2 hours. Because we played 3 holes. You kept picking the ball up after all of your crappy shots, which were many. So he's not a lot of chuckles to play with.
I played in the ultimate who doesn't belong in this foursome on a Nike trip. It was me, Bill Self, Roy Williams, and Jim Boeheim. And I have a picture, and I tell people, all right, who on this does not belong
That's funny.
in this coaching
I'm sure America wants to know, so I will turn the tables and ask you a question. How did it go with the ex-husband in the group?
Awesome. He stays at our house when he comes to town. Yeah, really well. I actually knew him before I met Lee, or we liked hanging out with him. And no, he's a good dude. But a lot of people go, hey, man, I don't know about that. And he stays, his stepdaughter lived with us through high school. So when he came, we just stay, hey, man, we got a basement bedroom. It's all fixed up. Let's go. So he stays with us, hangs out, goes to dinner. Yeah, it's all good. What are you going to do?
That's the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
Life's too short. We're called to love everyone. It's
That's right. Appreciate you, my friend. Travel safe.
You're the
Thank
best.
you for the time.
Go Hoosiers.
All right.
If anybody's watching this in Oregon, love the Ducks. They're the greatest. Got to cover all your bases.
The best. See you, man. That's how you survive in this business right there. 101, that's from the Newhouse School right there in Syracuse. You think people go to the Newhouse School just to learn how to broadcast? Hell no. They learn how to survive in this business. Where are we at? Fargo, North Dakota? Loved Fargo, the movie, or South Dakota, wherever the hell it is. I don't know. Anyway, our guy, thanks to Sean for coming on. I'm not lying. I will watch. I like watching hockey with Sean. Sean's the best, man. He's unbelievable with the pucks. No, it's incredible. Anyway, good stuff. Good stuff today. I think we've got our guy coming up here. I got to look at the rundown. I sometimes get talking to the guests, and I forget, the rundown. But I think our guy, TREY Wallace, he's at 10:20. Good. When we come back, that gives us a lot of time with TREY. When we come back, we're going to go, I believe, a little stock up, stock down in a minute. I guess. I don't know. I didn't hope you guys got me. I see me. I love this sweatshirt, by the way. I think this is absolutely great. It makes me look very young, and it goes with my eyes, is what my wife told me. All right, it is Monday. You know what we do on Mondays. We go stock up and stock down. Stock up, Jerry Neuheisel, son of Rick, offensive coordinator, said, they only had a couple days to prepare. He couldn't figure out the button on his belt as the coordinator, not the position coach. The next thing you know, man, oh man, they went out and belly whomped. Yeah, they did. They went out and belly whomped Penn State. I'm going to say I was very surprised by it. I did not see that coming. Look, the feeling is usually, if not always, that James Franklin is going to, and his team is going to win those games. Here's the deal, though. The deal is pretty simple. The deal is, we can blame the coach all you want, but I would bet, and I would bet anything you want, that Coach Franklin coached them up hard. Coach Franklin coached them up right. Coach Franklin did everything that he and his staff could possibly do to get his team ready. Players, not so much. Sometimes you simply got to blame the players. Sometimes there are games where players must play. Yeah, it's a tough game. Yeah, it's a tough road. Yeah, you got beat. Yeah, you got to travel. Yeah, you're playing in front of basically nobody. Yes, there are distractions because, well, let's just be honest, it is California. And I'm thinking most of the guys out there at Penn State are probably from the Northeast or surrounding areas, maybe not Cali, but I don't know. Maybe the Midwest as well, Eller, that kind of thing. Yeah, okay, well, players got to play. Well, coaches got to get them ready, man. So if anybody doesn't think that James Franklin didn't get his team ready, I don't think you absolutely positively know what in the Sam hell's going on. I don't. I think the easiest thing in the world to say is, hey, man, that coach sucks. Hey, man, that coach didn't get him ready. Hey, man, no. Hey, the Toronto Blue Jays, God dang. I mean, the Toronto Blue Jays belly whomped 13-7. 13-7 is what they did to the New York baseball Yankees. Look, here's the deal. Started out innocuous enough, 0-0 after one, then 2, 3, 6, and 1. I don't know about you, but that is 12 runs. The score then would be 12-0. Woo. 12-0. Max Fried, he got absolutely destroyed. It wasn't, But when you look at one of my favorite players in baseball is George Springer. George Springer and Bernie Williams, I don't know why, I just really liked them. I do. I really, really liked them. Well, when George Springer is on a team, that's usually a pretty damn good team. Gary Varshaw's kid, what the hell's his first name? Oh, Dalton Varsho. That dude was a stud as well. I remember Gary Varsho, outfielder for the Cubs. His son has become a great player. Vlad Guerrero goes 3 for 5. I mean, what the hell do you want? No, this is a good baseball team. And they absolutely destroyed the Yankees. I mean, destroyed them. Now you got to go back and win. Hey, look, just home field, kept. Fine. Now you got to figure it all out. I'll give the Brewers a little stock up, too. Cubs hit a home run. Michael Busch hit a home run to open it up 1-0. Top of the first. Go, Cubs, go. Miller Park, or whatever the hell the place is now called in Milwaukee, buzzing. Next thing you know, 6 runs in the bottom of the first. Miller Park was more than buzzing. Miller Park was nuts. Miller Park got a hold of these nuts by the Cubs, took him, grabbed them, squeezed them, and said, au contraire, ma chérie, this ain't happening. And it didn't. Hey, it seems like this is an annual deal. It feels like this is an annual deal. The resurgence of Billy Napier and Florida in the SEC. Billy Napier's team reeling. I mean reeling. Can't win. People pissed. 1-3. Here comes guess who? You know who. Tell me. Say it with me. Arch. Oh, Arch Manning. Arch Manning comes in and gets his ass beat. I told you before, this is piling on at this point. I get it. But Arch Manning was 16 of 29 for 263 yards and 2 touchdowns and blah, 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 blah. Okay. But the truth of the matter is he hadn't been very good. He hadn't been very good at all. DJ Langway, he hadn't been very good. 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a freshman kid named Dallas Wilson. Well, he was pretty good. All right. Next thing you know, Arch had a chance, and Arch didn't get it done. He didn't get it done. Wilson gets a 55-yard touchdown, and just spectacular. In fact, this Wilson kid is going to be the next great wide receiver, assuming he keeps his head on straight. I mean, hey, he's a freshman making big-time plays. Big-time plays. Anyway, Arch Manning had a couple interceptions. And you always have to answer. This is the thing. I thought he competed his heart out. Our entire team did. Most people thought we were probably dead and gone. We fought all the way back. Manning was 6 times. They got bullied. No blitzes. I'm reading it right here. All right. Manning missed some passes. Had a chance. They're not in the top 25 no more. They're gone. See you later. Adios. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm not celebrating it. But a lot of people did say, hey, man, including myself, if you cannot beat out at all, what's his name? The quarterback, Ewers? I don't know, man. Maybe there should be a question. Well, there's a major question. I saw his high school tape. I don't know nothing. You guys are smarter than me. But when I saw it, I said this before. When he throws the ball, great throwers, the ball pops out as you come. It's here. When he finishes his follow-through, it feels like the ball's back here. That ain't good. You want popping out. You want explosion from your great quarterbacks. He's big, he's strong, he runs, he's okay, he's fine. But if his name was Dakich, Bowling Green. Stock down the aforementioned Arch Manning. Look, I know it's piling on, and I feel bad about it, but with all this hype and all this money and all shark, he's the next one. And, all right. What do you want me to tell you? You got to play better. Bill Belichick stock down. Now comes a report, and this was just sent to me, according to sources inside the North Carolina football program. It is a directive from the staff, also known as Bill Belichick, to not tweet or retweet anything Patriots related. It's clearly why UNC football has not posted anything from Drake May's electric primetime win last night for, guess who it is, the Patriots, over whom? The Buffalo Bills. Now, scratch your head, rub your beard. Drake May played for who? Who, you ask? North Carolina. Feels like North Carolina could use a little bump, no? Just a little bit of a bump, just a little bit of something nice, just a little bit of what? You know what I mean? A little bit? Because they struggling. Hey, speaking of struggling, Geno Smith's got 9 interceptions in 5 games. Latu intercepted him. It was the second interception for the kid out of UCLA, drafted in the first round last year by the Colts. But Geno Smith was running for his life the entire freaking day. When Jacoby Myers is your number one threat, not named Brock Bowers, you got a serious, serious problem. And I talk about it, and maybe I'm joking about it, but maybe I'm not. The Colts hung 40 on him. They made Geno Smith look lost. You couldn't run the ball because the Colts had blocked a kick, couple interceptions. You know what I'm saying? Recovered a fumble. They turned him over 4 times. And next thing you know, you're down, so you got to throw the ball. Or Ashton Genty may have had a bunch of yards. He ended up with 67, and we won, by the way. We won our prize pick bet. But the truth of the matter is Geno Smith looked very pedestrian. He looked very pedestrian under the guise of Pete Carroll. And frankly, Pete Carroll, his team looked very pedestrian as well. Now, Jonathan Taylor had 3 touchdowns. He only rushed for 71 yards, had another 70-yard run called back second weekend in a row. And if he didn't have those, I would argue that Jonathan Taylor might be the most valuable player in the league. Even his coach, Shane Steichen, said, hey, look, this guy's the best back we got in this league right now. And as I watch, hard to say anybody else. I mean, it just simply is, to me anyway. Now, I'm biased, no question. I love when the Colts are good. People always think, because I do a talk radio show, you want the Colts to be bad. Well, on Mondays, when the Colts are bad, everybody loses their mind, right? Hey, Colts suck. We go crazy. And by Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, everybody's tired of hearing it, so they go to, classical music. But no, I like when the Colts are good. There's civic pride, and we need some in downtown Indianapolis. We need some big time. Big time. No, we do. But anyway, stock down also. Hey, I don't know how you do it, but Josh Allen's really good. I'm going to give you a couple teams here. Josh Allen's team from the get-go did not look like they were physical enough last night. Stock down also. Speaking of physical, did anybody pay attention to the Ravens yesterday? When I watch football, this is true. When I watch football, I love watching the Ravens play the Steelers. When the Ravens play the Steelers, I know a couple things are going to happen. They're going to fight like crazy. I'm not necessarily talking about taking your helmet off and having a swing. I'm talking about both teams are going to get after it to the point where you go, damn! But yesterday, no fight. 0 fight. 44-10. Now think about that. 44-10. This is an interesting little nugget here by ESPN. In the previous 3 matchups with Baltimore, C.J. Stroud, who threw for 4 touchdown passes, had failed to lead Houston 3 matchups to an offensive touchdown. So when they went 67 yards in 10 plays on the initial drive, that, ladies and gentlemen, was a breakthrough. A massive, massive breakthrough. It was, a route from jump. It was never going to get close. It was never going to get to the point where anybody on the Ravens had any hope. Cooper Rush, middling to bad, 3 interceptions, awful. No Lamar Jackson. All I know is this, guys and gals. All I know is they are damn good. Period. Damn good. By the way, I think Ted Cruz is going to join us Wednesday at 9:30 in the morning. So, let people lose their mind. Jets, Giants, Yankees, all lost. People are sad. They'll be okay. No, they won't. Probably I'll get their ass beat. Anyway, Leslie, another stock up. You got to give credit. I know you guys don't want to, Davey, but you got to give credit to the Titans, big boy. You got to do it. You got to give them credit, Davey. Come on. Say it with me. Tighten up. Let's go. Tighten up. Tighten up.
Dan, I've never seen a collapse quite like what the Arizona Cardinals did last night. I mean, have you ever seen a team throw an interception for a touchdown to the other team? I mean, that's just something I've never seen before. They looked pedestrian. This isn't so much a stock up to the Titans, Dan. This has got to be a stock down to the Cardinals. We had another situation. DeMarcado just dropped the ball before going into the end zone. Would have been 28-3 at that point. They're not coming back. I will give the team credit for not quitting after I thought they had in the first half. But, I mean, hey, Cam Ward at least may be able to build some confidence from this. I was shocked, to say the least.
Well, I think it was shocking. You mentioned Taylor DeEmerson intercepting, then fumbled. We had a kid who do that, Tyquan Lewis, a couple years ago. But, to a bigger issue, DeMarcado, I will never understand. We said this last week when our guy here, Adonai Mitchell, who only played 6 snaps and all in the fourth quarter when the game was over, basically the Colts benched him. But, Davey, we talked about this last week. You score a touchdown, you run into the end zone. You can do anything you want in the end zone. Like, you can take off your clothes and take a dump. You can, whatever you want to do the worm, do whatever. What's the hurry? Davey, I don't know, man. I saw that, and I could not believe it. I just couldn't believe it happened again. I couldn't. No.
Yeah. You got one job, Dan. Get the ball in the end zone. Take every precaution.
That's it.
Take every precaution to make sure you're in that end zone before you give the ball to anyone. A ref, a fan, even your own teammate.
They show you exactly where the end zone is, too. They tell you where the end zone is. Like, there's a line right there. Yeah. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not – like, I think sometimes when I watch soccer, they got the different colored grass. Maybe it's hard to tell when there's an offsides. But I tell you this, man. In football, they show you the end zone.
Most stadiums, too, they've got the jumbotrons on both sides of the end zone. You can even just stare up and watch yourself to make sure you're in the end zone if you don't even want to take the time to look down.
Boy, that's a good point. Didn't think of it that way. That's a good point. Fantastic. Yeah. Just, hey, I'm in the end zone. Woo, I forgot all about that. You know what? That's just dumb. All right. Here we go. We're excited to announce the return of the most patriotic awards show on TV. The Fox Nation Patriot Awards is back and better than ever, hosted by our very own Sean Hannity. It's Thursday, November 6th, 8 p.m. Eastern, live from the Tillis Center in New York. Tickets are on sale now at foxnation.com/Patriot Awards. We had a record-setting show last year. This year is even bigger. Surprise guests, amazing new awards, and even a special honor for the life and legacy of our very own friend, Charlie Kirk. You don't want to miss this. Get your tickets now, foxnation.com/Patriot Awards, and we hope to see you there. All right, last Thursday was anything but a normal day for quarterback of the 49ers. He says he's a backup, but I don't know. Mac Jones, in addition to having the best game of his career Thursday night, he found a dead body. Yep, you heard that correct. Mac Jones saw a dead body before kickoff and lit up the Rams. According to the Athletics' Diana Rossini, Jones and the Niners were staying in Marina del Rey before the game. There, Jones told his teammates that he spotted a body out in the marina, which led to someone phoning the police. Sure enough, the Niners were headed to the game. The police in the coroner's van were pulling up to the marina. It's still under an investigation, but he saw a dead body. I've only seen one dead body, and it was that of my father's. Ironically enough, my father was 100% Serbian, my mother 100% Polish. My dad and mom, we were going to meet for lunch. I went. Guess what? My dad, my mother calls frantically, tragically died in a Tesla store. Nikolai Tesla, famous Serb, did Thomas Edison of Serbia. That's about the craziest thing we're seeing. Anyway, are the Cubs going to win today? Hell yeah. Trey Wallace next. What a great weekend. Honest to God, just a fantastic weekend. Weather, fantastic. Great games. We didn't think there was going to be great games. You were in Tuscaloosa, the great Trey Wallace. You read him, you know him, you love him. Here at OUTKICK.com. Hey, Alabama's pretty good. I mean, they were supposed to be bad, blah, 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 blah. Did they show enough there to make you think this is a really good Alabama team?
Yeah, Dan, good morning, buddy. I think after going on the road to Athens and winning that one, it was kind of a step forward. And then you looked at this game against Vanderbilt and you wondered, okay, are they still going to be on that high after that win against Georgia? And they didn't. Look, they came out, and I know it was tied against Vanderbilt at halftime. And Vanderbilt also had their opportunities where they could have taken the lead. It maybe could have been a 10-point lead. But overall, this is an Alabama program to me. The quarterback now, Ty Simpson, looks like he's in control. And to be honest with you, this looks like a college football playoff contender, a semifinal contender. I'm not going to call them a national championship yet, but Alabama, it's like after that Florida State loss, Dan, it seemed like that they just found their identity. It was almost like a wake-up call in talking with some folks in Tuscaloosa. They thought that, their stuff didn't stink, and they found out the hard way in week one. But if you look at how they've came back and responded from that loss, my goodness. I mean, this is a football team that's now on a roll.
Trey, who does this open up the college football playoffs for with Penn State losing? Now they've lost a couple games. I mean, does this open it up for Notre Dame?
It gives them 2 weeks ago, if you'd have told Notre Dame folks, hey, there's a path to the playoff, they'd have been like, yeah, okay. But now you look at it, with Texas taking an L, Penn State going out there and getting embarrassed, and my goodness, that was horrible. I think it does. I think that if you make a run, you can't drop another game. But if you make a run here, you've got an argument to be made because college football is so wide open this year, Dan. I mean, Ohio State, Oregon, you look around the SEC, can Ole Miss continue this run? Is Georgia up to snuff? Alabama, obviously, and there's others. So, yeah, it does present the opportunity. And there's going to be people bitching and complaining at the end of the year if Notre Dame is sitting there 10-2 and in an argument to make a spot. But you know what? It has been so chaotic already through 5 weeks, 6 weeks of the season that I think just about anything can happen right now. And so, yeah, the opening, Penn State losing, Texas losing, it opens up an opportunity now for others to kind of sneak into this conversation where in about a month, we're going to have college football playoff rankings, and Notre Dame is going to be hanging around if they can continue doing their job.
Hey, Trey, your opinion. This is big here this week for us here in Indiana. The Hoosiers take on Oregon. I was trying to figure out earlier last week how I could possibly get this to a top five team. Penn State, Texas lost, but there's too many good teams. Oregon third, Indiana 7, game day there. How good's Oregon? What are you thinking?
Oregon's a bad football team, and I mean that in a good way. I love me some Dan Lanning. I do. I really do. But, we've seen at times during Lanning's tenure where somebody comes in with an explosive offense. Let's be honest, Indiana's got it. I love me some Mendoza. And there's an opportunity. Look, there is an opportunity there. And I think that even with everything going into this game against Oregon, you said it, like game day is going to be there. I think it's going to be like a 12:30 kick local time. There is an opportunity for Indiana to go win this football game. And I think that if you go back and watch the fourth quarter of the Penn State game, where you saw Penn State's offense kind of open up a little bit, I just feel like looking at the teams Oregon has played this year, Indiana is going to be their biggest threat because of offense. And so, if we get into a shootout here, which there is an opportunity for that, it's going to come down to Dante Moore of Oregon, or is it going to come down to Mendoza there at Indiana? And I want to tell myself this is going to be one of those games that we remember. I think it's going to turn out that way. I think that Indiana's on a mission right now. And don't be surprised, Kurt Cignetti's out here doing a couple things that are a little dicey during the game to try to throw Oregon off. So it will be fascinating to see the Hoosiers make that trek across the country. And, man, we've already seen some crazy stuff in college football. Would it really be any surprise if Indiana goes in there and beats Oregon?
No. God, no. No. I mean, not to me, because I think they have the greatest quarterback in the history of football, and I think they have the greatest coach in the history of football, and they're the greatest team in the history of football. What's the problem? Hey, man, I got to ask you, it all goes back to Ed Orgeron. Ed Orgeron, what did he say in an interview? They were going to give him $10 million to go away. He said, hey, write the check. Where's the door? Stoops, $38 million buyout. Is this true? Is it that much money?
It's true, Dan, and there's also a little caveat to that. Kentucky cannot take out installment loans. This cannot be something where they pay him every month. For the next 5 to 6 years, they owe him $38 million, $38 to $40 million. Right when they sign the paper, they've got 60 days to give him the money. 60 days. And there have been, it's a bad situation right now at Kentucky. But here's the thing. Mark Stoops made a clear postgame. He's not walking away from that money. This is not a Sam Pittman in Arkansas situation where they can negotiate the buyout down a little bit. No, Mark Stoops is going to stay in that position until they walk into his office, and that would be AD Mitch Barnhart, and says, hey, we decided to go in another direction. And, okay, give me my $38 million in 60 days. I look forward to that. When they signed him to it's an extension, new deal, however you'd like to phrase it, in 2022, coming off a 10-3 season, everybody's like, oh, man, Kentucky football is back. Well, you know what? Mark Stoops has got one hell of an agent because he didn't give them any mitigating factors when it comes to what the buyout's going to be. He said straight up, no, you're going to owe me this. And I looking at it right now, Kentucky football is probably the worst team in the SEC right now. And I look at it and talking with folks around Lexington, look, man, they've been looking forward to basketball for a month and a half here. So I think that they've got a serious problem. But at the end of the day, Dan, sure, you can take some kind of loan out. Boosters are not willing to pay the full $38 to $40 million. I've talked with multiple people about that. Because what they'd have to do is, Dan, you know this, they're going to have to write a check to Stoops. Then they're going to have to turn around and pay even more money to bring in a new staff and a new head coach. And at the same time, you got to pay for some NIL as well. They've got themselves into a very, very bad situation. And I don't blame Mark Stoops one freaking bit. I'd stay in that office handcuffed to my desk until they came in there with the papers that said, okay, you're gone. And then I'd say, okay, cool, I'm going to go coach somewhere else. But I looking back, Kentucky administrators would have loved for him to get that Texas A&M job 2 years ago when he was literally on the way to the airport and things went to hell in a handbasket. But boy, oh boy, that's a lot of money to get rid of a head coach.
What, did things go to hell in a handbasket? Because I've been that guy that's headed to the airport. How did things go to that? I don't want to revise history, but how did that happen? What happened? I don't remember.
Well, when Texas A&M was searching for their new head coach after the Jimbo debacle, there were a decent amount of folks in College Station that were for Mark Stoops. They had made the phone calls. Mark Stoops was in Lexington at the time, obviously, but he had got pretty much all the assurances needed that he was about to be the head coach. Well, then you know what happens. Message boards get a hold of it. Some local reporters get a hold of it, and then that news starts making its way to some board of trustee members and board of regents members in College Station. Pretty much they put it into it before he could get on the plane and get to the airport, and that's when they decided to go after Mike Elko. So, it was a tumultuous time, and looking back on it, Kentucky fans are like, damn, Texas A&M, y'all could have saved us a lot of money in this situation. Really appreciate that. But yeah, and I think that's where, Dan, a lot of people, we're always kind of like, Stoops have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and that happens in college athletics, but man, they're screwed right now financially.
Yeah. Hey, last thing before I let you go, Trey, who's the favorite for the Heisman?
Man, I'd have told you John Mateer 2 weeks ago if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, Oklahoma's quarterback. We'll see if he gets back, this weekend. I don't think he's going to make it back by that Texas game. I'm not reporting that. I just don't think it. Talking with a few folks. You look overall at the country, I think that right now, I think Mendoza's got a really good shot at this thing. I think obviously Diego Pavia took himself out of it. Well, no, Mendoza, the Indiana quarterback. I think Dante Moore. Dante Moore. Yeah. This is kind of the weekend that he could put, a stamp on his, like, all right, I'm in the race here. I'm going to give you a sleeper. Right? Right. Either guy. And I'm going to give you a sleeper. What I have seen from Ty Simpson, the Alabama quarterback, over the last 3 weeks, he could be making a run at this thing. I'm just telling you, with what they have on the offensive side. So I think this is going to be separation Saturday a little bit when it comes to who could potentially, I know we have 2 months left, 3 months left in this season, but it's shaping up to be fun. A lot of playmakers out there, and even a guy like Jeremiah Smith from Ohio State, we thought he would be in that conversation a lot, but he's just not. And now I'm fascinated to see which guys can kind of step up over the next 3 weeks as we get this conversation really rolling.
I tell you what, Ohio State's defense might be up for a team Heisman. Holy cow, that's some bad boys right there.
That's some boys right there, and I would imagine there's a lot of Penn State fans that were hoping Drew Aller would be in the Heisman conversation. But as we have seen that play out, that ship has now sailed. It is done, and folks in Happy Valley are certainly not happy today.
Man, James Franklin. I mean, it remains to be seen. They got a lot of, who knows, but. That is a very un-James Franklin-like loss. Let's put it that way. Now, he doesn't lose to those teams.
No, and you cannot come up with those excuses after the game as well. You can't come up with,
I'm with you.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. Come on.
And for the love of God, when the Big Ten coaches stopped complaining about travel, you knew this shit was coming when you decided when all these teams decided to come into the conference for more money. So I'm tired of hearing about having to travel across country. You signed up for this. So let's just be very, very honest with each other here. So James Franklin, I could see that one, Dan, ending with Franklin potentially taking another Power 4 job down the road.
Yeah, I'm with you on the whole code. Well, we had to travel. Oh, shut up. You know what? Hey, look, you got me. I get it. You want to say somebody's hurt, whatever, fine. But my God, the whole travel and we're doing it, just let it go. I've had enough of it. Let's put it that way. I'm glad you said that. I saw your tweet on it, actually.
It's just an exaggerated talking point now. Like it really is. I'm sorry. You have to do this. Okay. Well, what about Oregon traveling all the way across country and beating you in double overtime last weekend? So I didn't see you coming out here with sympathy for the Ducks for having to travel, 4,000 miles to get over there to win a football game. So I'm sick of hearing that.
I am too. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you said that. I'm 1,000% with you on that. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks. Have a great week.
Bye.
There he goes. Trey Wallace. Read him, know him, love him. Nobody covers college football better than the great Trey Wallace. Man, I'm so in on that. All right. You got beat. Travel. I do like James Franklin, though. I told you, man. Anybody that says, I pick my assistant coaches by how hot the wife is, I can get down with that. Let's woke-a-dope it, shall we? I like California like I like my tea with lots of ice. Yeah, there you go. Man, you know what? That's pretty funny. Nah, that's pretty funny. I know they don't like ice in Chicago and Pritzker and all those guys. What is it? I'll get into that in a minute. Next. And stop calling me Dime Store Obama. Okay, what would you like us to call you, sir? Then act like sir. I mean, quit trying to bullshit us, Hakeem Jeffries. Quit trying to do it. What are you doing? Like, you get up there and you try to BS us, and then you get mad, and then you get angry, and then people make fun of you, and then you get mad about people making fun of you, and next thing you know, we got a whole situation. Next. A situation is brewing. Look at that. The sombrero thing with tampons. That's right. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. When I first saw them, I thought ice cream cones. I did. And then I'm like, wait a second. That's Senior Tampon Tim. And he's got the tampons and the stash. And a sombrero. You know, in high school, we had a really good friend, Ricky Jimenez, and to honor Ricky, we had a couple Mexicans on our team. Are you allowed to say Mexicans? They're from Mexico. They're Mexican. And so we had in between a parade, a Mexican hat parade. We brought sombreros, and parents made tacos, and we had a doubleheader. And it was fun, and we loved it. But I wonder if that'd be offensive today. Maybe not today. Maybe back, I don't know, a few years ago. But we've often laughed about that. Imagine, we got in our cars, we waved Mexican hats in between doubleheaders. We just had a ball. I don't know, man. I don't know. Can you do that? Can you not do that? I don't know. All right, let's do this. Let's go to last thing. You know, I'll never understand this. Governor Pritzker in Illinois is being slammed as a disgrace after he abandoned. He abandoned federal agents who suffered a terror attack in Chicago. Armed attacker, agents being boxed in by 10 vehicles, and Pritzker endorsed it. Look, I don't understand. What do you want? I mean, what do you want other than to get reelected? I suppose that's what you want. I suppose that you want to get reelected and you think this is the way to do it. But one of the things that I hear, and it's the same thing here in Indy, is I hear the people. I mean, every time Brandon Johnson or Pritzker speaks on crime, the people speak up. You know, the media may be on the side of Pritzker, maybe on the side of Johnson. It's the same thing here in Indy. I mean, Indy, all you got to do is Google it and see who's committing crimes, and the people are up in arms. Kids getting out of trucks, kids getting out of buses, emerging on downtown, people surrounding ICE agents, and the people that live in the communities are like, in both communities are like, enough. But the media won't stop. The media is painting Pritzker as some type of guy that is protecting the people. Who's he really protecting? Man, I don't know. You know what? He says, Trump actually said yesterday, I really believe Pritzker is afraid for his life. Somehow when you can have 40 or 50 people over the last couple months, hundreds of people wounded, there's no place for that in the world. We so often just get beholden to criminals. Why are we beholden to criminals? Why is downtown Indy folks afraid? Why are people in Chicago saying, get these guys out of here? But the government, I guess, panders. You know that guy that got arrested 99 times? You know that's here in Indy. Ryan Mears, the prosecutor. We've talked about him numerous times. Man, can't you protect the people? All right, can't you just do that? And Pritzker is going on television lying, saying ICE killed an unarmed person just a couple of weeks ago. I said this before, and I'll say this again. They can literally look at us and just lie. And I'll never, ever, ever understand it. I honestly don't get it. Hell, people in Chicago are begging the National Guard to come in. People in Indianapolis are begging Trump to send the National Guard. People in Memphis are happy that the National Guard got sent in there. Damn. Why are we beholden to criminals? I'll never understand it. Hey, see you tomorrow. Thanks, Brooke. Great work, Davey. Great work, Nick. Everybody. Ryan, thanks. Tomorrow. See you.